Anyone who has played a Metal Gear game will know how meme-worthy the idea of nanomachines has become. They are a narrative crutch used to explain some of the weirder aspects of the story. Why is there regenerating health and invisible suits and super strength? Well, nanomachines. It helps explain supernatural phenomena and allows the writers to meld science fiction with elements of fantasy. It's versatile, ironically like nanotechnology itself. As the book Mondo Nano by Colin Milburne explains, Richard Feynman conceived the entire field of nanotechnology in 1959 in a lecture called There's Plenty of Room at the Bottom. The idea: just as computers break down data into its most basic form, ones and zeros, nanotechnology deals with matter in its most elemental form, atoms and molecules. The world becomes manipulated at the microscopic level. Here's another quote: "The basic building blocks are atoms and the combinations of atoms to make up molecules. Nanotechnology lets you manipulate those atoms and molecules, making it possible to manufacture, replicate, and distribute any substance known to humans as easily and cheaply as you can replicate data on a computer." Nanotechnology has become a part of our science fiction lexicon as far back as the 1966 movie Fantastic Voyage, where a tiny submarine is injected into a human to find and destroy a life-threatening blood clot. Nanotechnology is now a genre staple. Many will have seen the movie A Boy and His Atom, the world's smallest stop-motion film, made with nanotechnology. The point: it showcases the utility of play at any resolution, and how stories can be communicated with many constraints. In any case, it also exhibits something about play that is similar to nanotechnology. Just like nanotech is about reconfiguring the world, so too is play. Johann Huizinga identified play as taking place in a magic circle, but it also has the ability to transform reality. Trees can become goalposts. Fields can become arenas. With video games, nanotech, play, and games converge, an actual programmable reality. The promise of nanotech that is often seen as a meme comes to fruition. What other games have nanotech? Ratchet & Clank has nanotech stand in for health, to explain our extreme resilience. Whenever you sustain an injury, let Gadgetron's patented nanotech system rebuild your body from the inside out. It's abound in science fiction like Deus Ex, again a convenient way to explain phenomena, a Deus Ex Nanomachina. The most interesting applications, however, showcases how we think of nanotech itself, and how it informs games in turn. In Nanobreaker, a critically panned action game from the 2000s, nanotechnology explains how we can have a weapon that dynamically transforms into different shapes. Matter is being wielded like a weapon, and the game simply codes this fiction into its internal reality. However, in Crisis, we see the culmination of this nanotechnological enterprise. Nanomachines give our suit its many functions: going invisible, super strength. It's now a resource that we manage for strategic effect, cybernetically enhanced, and nanotechnologically infused. Our protagonist tries to hold on to his humanity in the face of these augmentations. We change the world by changing ourselves, but at what cost? Why is nanotech so common in games? The simple answer is that it is both inspiration and a narrative crutch for sci-fi writing. It exemplifies the dynamics of both play and games, and it reflects how media both represents and represents ideas that permeate our zeitgeist. It has given us our greatest memes. It is manipulable and memeable. However, what if there is a much more cynical answer? That there is something about nanotechnology that doesn't just exemplify play and games' most positive attributes, but also has perverse sociopolitical implications. Let's go back to Crisis, and a quote from a designer in 2006. Taking inspiration from the Future Warrior 2020 program, we developed the nanofiber suit, aka nanosuit, that can enhance strength, speed, and armor levels. That came from the senior game designer at Crytek in 2006, Bernd Daimer. Nano has become weaponized, and now inspires games that inspire technology in turn. The US Army has an Institute of Soldier Nanotechnologies, ISN, focused on advancing nano-based battlefield technologies to improve soldier survivability and combat capabilities. These are not just memes. In their essays on the relationship between nanomachines and games, Sebastien Alvarado and Kevin Niebert detail some specifics about elements of the suit in Crisis, how graphene can be rolled up into carbon nanotubes for composite body armor, to artificial nanofiber muscles. The research for this exists and is still being developed for military purposes. Games are a part of this representation to the masses. The truth is, very few of us have any clue how any of this works outside our interface with it through media. In Metal Gear Solid 1, Snake was injected with nanomachines with various ingredients, smart drugs, nanocarriers in drug delivery, physical augmentation. In Metal Gear Solid 2, the suit Raiden wears is described as adaptive, a smart suit, and also allows him to communicate with others with the codec. In Metal Gear Solid 4, we get the Octo Camo, a suit that has a chameleon-like effect of blending into the environment. There are active camo prototypes that have been in development since 2003, including metamaterials that bends light around objects. This is all well and good, but how do we get from here to the pinnacle of memes? Ironically, it's perhaps through something far more serious. In Metal Gear Solid 4, we learnt of the Foxdie virus Snake had, a retrovirus that targets specific people through DNA. Aside from how viruses are considered a type of nanoparticle, and how scientists have created nano-sized robots that can move, create, and traverse along a track comprised of DNA, this explained many of the happenings around Snake, and put his life on an accelerated timeline. Again, Sci-Fi is a vehicle for dramatic stakes. However, it's the Sons of Patriot system in Metal Gear Solid 4 that crystallized many people's deepest anxieties with nanotechnology. SOP monitors and controls soldiers through the nanomachines in their body, a network of invigilation. In Metal Gear Solid 4, the world is rife with PMCs, private military corporations, who have soldiers injected with nanomachines to enhance their abilities, but integrates them with the system. As Rat Patrol demonstrates, this allows soldiers to coordinate in almost inhuman fashion, but they are now beholden to the system. This begs the question as to where this control is coming from the bottom up or the top down. I suspect it's no surprise that this is also being researched and developed, combat functionality not just of individual soldiers, but units. Soldiers in Metal Gear Solid 4 also have their emotions suppressed, to be able to deal with a world of horrors and war, stripping us of our agency even when it comes to our instincts. Real-time battlefield control. In the book Gameplay Mode, Patrick Krogan argues that this has been a project of the military-industrial complex for decades now, and it has seeped into simulation, computation, and yes, even video games that build on these technologies. This exists not just in strategy games that let us control units in real time, but in first-person shooters that enable us to become a part of a machine. Teams of esports professionals in FPS games are very much like Rat Patrol themselves if you think about it. Maybe this is too speculative, but these assumptions are part of what create the most poignant of memes in Metal Gear Rising. Nanomachines, son. Sci-Fi has become anime as a cyborg battles a man who wants to make America great again. This is a world built on the assumptions of nanomachines, super soldiers, physical augmentation, active camouflage, but also a network of control that must be toppled with sheer will. That video games exemplify cybernetics and a society of control, and algorithms, and the military-industrial complex, but also the benefits and perils of nanotechnology, makes these memes that much more glorious. Video game traditions shaped the way that military nanoscience presents itself to the public, as striving for a digital future where wars are rebootable and soldiers' lives are replayable, thanks to the struggles of intrepid researchers.